Good evening and welcome to the Amadeitist Spiritual Service. Our guest medium this evening is Lynn Parker from Crewe in Cheshire. Warm welcome to you, Lynn. It's good to have you back again.
Thank you. Good evening.
Right, the outline of our service this evening will be as follows. We'll have an opening prayer followed by an address, then some music, then a moment's silence for distant healing, followed by some more music. Then we'll have a demonstration of mediumship given by Lynn, followed by our notifications and closing prayer. And as usual, the chat will stay open for anybody who wishes to stay. Okay, so I'll now hand over to you, Lynn, for the opening prayer.
Thank you, Kevin. Please, everyone, just take a moment to enter into the silence. Father God, Great Spirit, as we join here together this evening, we ask for a blessing on this service. And as we take a moment, Father, to feel your presence and your love here with us, may we give thanks not only for your presence here this evening, but being part of our lives each and every day. Father God, we know this evening we will be joined by our loved ones from the spirit world, and may we also feel their presence as they bring the words of love, the words of reassurance, and the words of healing that are so important to each and every one. Father God, we ask that we feel your presence, your love, and your light in everything that is said and done this evening. And we give thanks also for the presence of the spirit world. And now we leave this service in your care and keeping. Amen.
Amen. Okay, Lynn, I'll hand it back to you when you're ready for the address.
So, good evening, everybody. It is lovely to see you all here on this Saturday evening, and I know for some people there has been sun shining, and for some of you there has been maybe a little bit of cloud today. But whatever the weather, I hope that you've all had a wonderful day. I'd like to begin by sharing a simple sentence with you. And that sentence is, we are all in the process of becoming. We are all in the process of becoming. That was a sentence that I heard some time ago. And it was actually, I heard it on breakfast television of all places, as you do. And it was attributed at that time to Michelle Obama, ex-President Obama's wife, of course. And the quote interested me. It really interests me. So I searched it, I Googled it, again, as you do. And I found that actually originally the quote had been said by a civil rights activist and writer called Audre Lorde. And we are all in the process of becoming were words that she presented to the world. And I started to think about that sentence in a kind of spiritual way, and what it might mean to us as spiritual people, as people who have open hearts and open minds to the knowledge and the understanding and the truth that life is eternal. And I thought about this word becoming. We're all in this process of becoming. Well, what is it that we are becoming? And how, if we are in this process of becoming, what is it that we are supposed to become? And what is that process? How's that going to happen? You know, is there a book or a website or Google is going to tell us, how do I become whatever it is I need to become? And I started to think more deeply about this. We are all in the process of becoming. And we know that living this life here in a physical body, a spirit here, having this physical existence, that we have choice, of course. And as human beings, sometimes we don't always necessarily make that right choice, do we? You know, because we are human. And sometimes we think, being human, that we need to be perfect, whatever perfect is seen or understood to be. And our perception of what perfect is, of course, is unique to us, isn't it? And you know, from the time we're born, as we journey through this life, in this process, first of all, of course, of becoming, well, moving from being a baby to a toddler, to a child, a teenager, and then on to adulthood. We follow that physical process of development. And alongside that, of course, there's the emotional aspect. But as human beings, of course, we are spirit, but we also have that physical aspect to ourselves. This part of us that always wants to go on and try and find the next thing. You know, we're trained, it's part of our DNA, if you like, you know, to learn to walk, to learn to talk, to learn to ride bikes, maybe, play instruments, pass exams, learn how to drive, first home, all of those different aspects of life. It's all a process, isn't it? It's all about moving forwards. And we know as part of that journey, it isn't always straightforwards. Because just when you think you've got it right, just when you think that you're starting to move forwards in your life, in the way, in the material way that you may be hoping for, things falling into place, something happens, doesn't it? You know, we find that, don't we? We think we're on course with this journey that we think sometimes we've mapped out. You know, this idea of perfection, this idea of what we'd like to try and achieve in life. And we set those goals, those targets, and we may well know what it is we want. But how often is it that as part of this journey, sometimes we come to a bit of a standstill or go on a bit of a detour within our lives? Life takes us in a different direction for whatever reason that is. Whether it's because family changes, friends change, work changes, general circumstances, life changes. It takes us on the detour. Sometimes it feels like we're standing still. We're not moving forwards as we would like to. And that can be frustrating, can't it? You know I need to do something. I know I need to move forwards with my life. But I don't know how, and I don't know why I feel like this. And I very much believe that our life is about perception, how we see ourselves, how we see the world around us, how we see other people around us. That perception, and perception changes as part of that process, as part of us becoming and evolving, yes, in a material way. But if we consider this in a spiritual way, us being spirit here and now, each of you having that power within you that is your soul also is in the process of becoming. And that is choice. Again, whether you open up your minds to that possibility. Because once you start to look at yourself as a spiritual being, as spirit here and now, as a soul inhabiting a physical body, then your perception of life will naturally change. The way you see yourself will change. The way you will see others will change as part of your process of becoming. And so through each experience within your material life, within your emotional life, your emotional existence, you will learn, you will grow, you will evolve, but only if you choose to. And that's where it becomes interesting, isn't it? It's that idea of choice. And sometimes the idea of moving forwards and growing and evolving as spirit, that can be a little bit scary in a way. You know, the idea of stepping out into the unknown. Okay, I've decided that I want to be part of this process of becoming, of evolving, of growing. But again, how do I do that? What's necessarily, can somebody tell me how to do it? How do I journey within this life on a soul level as spirit here and now? Because nobody's going to tell you how to do that. Nobody's going to say, this is the book, this is the website of how you grow as an individual, as spirit here and now. You see, we're very good, aren't we, as human beings, at reaching out and asking for answers, reaching out and asking for our problems to be solved, going to the website that hopefully on Google will tell us the answers. And wonderful, maybe, if we do get a little hint of that, of maybe what we should do. But how often when we're reaching out and we're asking for answers from the world around us, maybe from people around us, and extending that on then to the spirit world, how often do we reach out and ask them for answers, or reach out and even ask them why? And as we reach out and send out those thoughts to the spirit world, we also know that God will hear us. God will hear those thoughts. God will hear those questions. But how often, when we're reaching out in our desperate moments and desperate times, seeking those answers that we think we're going to be able to get, how often then do we forget to look within, to look at the soul, that eternal power within you, that light that connects you to all things, to each other, and to recognize that you are part of something so big, so much bigger than your physical existence here, so much bigger than the world around you. For each of you are part of that eternal connection to each other, to the spirit world, and to God. And so when we seek those answers, when we ask or even demand of God, help me, give me the answer, show me the way, as many of us do in desperate times, you will get the answer. You will get that reassurance. You will feel that love, but it might not be in the way that you expect or hope. Because again, as human beings, we can kind of think quite tunnel vision at times, can't we? We can think in a certain way, I'm going to get my answer this way, or I'm going to get my answer that way. But how often do you sit within the silence? How often do you sit within that wonderful silence of love? We're so busy, aren't we? Rushing around the world, trying to progress, trying to evolve, trying to become whatever it is we think we need to become. But how often do you sit within the silence? And how often do you sit and thank the spirit world? How often do you thank God for that presence, that love, that eternal power is something that's within each of you. So sit within its energy, sit within the love from that universal power, however you see or perceive God to be. Know that each of you are strong within that love. And as you do journey forwards, and sometimes, yes, there will be that detour that takes your life in a slightly different direction. You know, those wonderful sat-navs that we have, or even Google Maps. We think we've set that destination, haven't we, within our sat-nav or within our phone. And then maybe the internet goes down, or the screen goes blank, or there is roadworks and we suddenly have to rely on that answer from Google Maps. Which way do I go now? But we still have to make that decision, don't we? So even when we've got Google Maps, when we've got websites, when we've got that external information around us, we still have choice about how we're going to deal with it, how we're going to approach it. Just because somebody shows us a possible answer Doesn't mean to say we've always got to accept it. It's got to feel right for you. And as part of that process of becoming, we'll start to recognize more and more how things feel within your soul, how things feel within your heart, how things touch the spirit within you. Because once you start to recognize that and that power that you are part of, as I said before, your perception of life will change. So just going back to that quote, we are all in the process of becoming. Do we actually then need to know what it is you're going to become? Is that the important part or not? That's something for you to think about, because it is the journey that is important, isn't it? It is the process that is important. The learning, the development, the growth, the opening up the mind to this understanding and this knowledge that life is eternal, that we are eternal beings, that whenever that time is, we get to the spirit world, we will be reunited with those who have gone before us. We'll be reunited with our family, our friends, our pets, our neighbours, those who have touched our lives in some way, and we have touched theirs. And so isn't that a wonderful thought? That as we move forwards and we continue in the spirit world to become, we are journeying on within that love, within that knowledge that we are supported, that we are not alone, that life after death truly exists. But don't forget also that life before death is important. Life after death, yes, of course, but life before death. How you are living life now, the thoughts you send out, that responsibility that you each have as being part of the whole, part of God's love. And that recognition and that acknowledgement will help you in that process of becoming, of evolving, of growing. And that has to come from within you. That love, that knowledge, that power, that need or that wanting to progress has to start within you. So sit within the silence, sit within that love and consider, are you going to be in the process of becoming? Are you already in the process of becoming? Something for you to think about. Thank you.
Thank you for that powerful reminder, Lynn. We'll have our first piece of music. Lovely. If you'd like to join me now in a moment's silence for our distant healing. If you know anybody who is in need of healing this evening, please hold them in your thoughts as I read out the healing prayer. Gracious Spirit, of thy goodness, hear our anxious prayer. Take our loved ones who are suffering, neath thy tender care. Loving Father, hear us. Gracious Spirit, may thy presence shed a healing ray, turning all their night of darkness into glorious day. Loving Father, hear us. Gracious Spirit, shouldst thou claim them, be their light and guide. Lead them to the heavenly kingdom, safely by thy side. Loving Father, hear us. Hear us. Amen.
Guarda fuori è già mattina. Questo è un giorno che ricorderai. Alzati in fretta e vai. C'è chi crede in te, non ti arrendere. Once in every life there comes a time we walk out all alone and into the light. The moment won't last, but then we remember it again when we close our eyes. Like stars across the sky, che per vincere dovrai vincere. We were born to shine, all of us here because we believe. Guarda avanti e non voltarti mai, accarezza con i sogni tuoi, le tue speranze e poi verso il giorno che verrà c'è un traguardo. Dovrai vincere. We were born to shine, all of us here because we believe. Non arrenderti, qualcuno
Wow, what a contrast in music. I'd ask you all to send out your love to Lynn as she links in on our behalf with our loved ones in spirit. Over to you, Lynn.
Thank you, Kevin. Just remind me, please, Kevin, what time do you call me to time?
Well, I'm happy to let you decide when you want to stop.
Okay, 5 minutes, okay?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Okay, so good evening again, everybody. And I'm sure, Kevin, you'll help me to find where I am if with hands up and people waving and things, because I've got you on speaker view at the moment, so I can't see everybody. Obviously, I can see the reaction buttons if they come up with the participants. So I'm sure you all understand how this works. It's all about your loved ones in the spirit world and about all of us here creating that harmony in order for your loved ones to come forward. So it's about you sending out your love, your positivity, and it is very much mediumship, I believe, is very much about trying to create that harmony for that few minutes in time when I am privileged to bring forwards information about your loved ones in the spirit world. So, you know, it's better to speak up and to wave or to raise the hand button or whatever it is you're going to use. Better to indicate if you understand some or all of the information than not to speak at all, because there's nothing worse from a medium when somebody afterwards says, well, actually, I understood all of that. Too late then, too late. You know, we have to work in the moment. So we can always, as mediums, try and do our best to work with the knows or not sures. So, and as you all know, it's not perfect. You know, we're human beings at the end of the day as well. So I feel or I hear most of the information about your loved ones in the spirit world. So as I am sending out my thoughts here to your loved ones, I'm aware of a gentleman coming forwards, and he brings this father's love here as he comes forwards. And I know with him that he would have become quite confused in that latter part of his life. He talks to me about the last 3 or 4 years, particularly, where I get a sense here this would have been a dementia or Alzheimer's. And so those last 3 or 4 years, it was a slow deterioration is what he's saying here. But he reminds me, though, that the last 8 months of his life was when he says, I was really poorly, is the phrase he's just used. So I know that there would have been more of a deterioration. I get a sense with him that he would have, up until maybe the last sort of few months of his life, being cared for and supported in the home environment. It feels like there would have been almost like a rota of family or friends that would have stepped in to try and support him in that latter part of his life. But I also get a sense here with him that when he then did pass to the spirit world, he just brings them, and these are memories, please know that these are memories of really having a very distinct rattle with his chest. So I feel there was something going on here, particularly with his chest, whether it was pneumonia or something along those lines. So who would understand some or all of this for me, please?
I can take all of that.
Oh, Lynn. Hello, Lynn. Hi, thank you. You can take, and you understand it to be dad, please, Lynn.
Father-in-law.
Father-in-law. Okay, thank you. Thank you. It's interesting how he came, because I don't normally describe it as a father's love. I usually say dad, but you see the way then, Lynn, that he comes forwards is he really feels this strong bond with you, this strong connection with you. And so thank you for sharing, your father-in-law comes forwards. He's showing me roll-up cigarettes. So at some point, Lynn, would he have smoked?
He did smoke,
yeah. Because he just sort of brings this in here, and I don't smoke, and I can just smell that really strong tobacco, really strong smell of smoke, but also the smell of tobacco that takes me back sort of years ago within memories there too. And so your father-in-law, he just brings in this feeling here of being quite unstable on his feet as well. So his health, his health would have changed, but it's this, and I just feel there was almost a shaking there with him as well. That makes right. Because it's almost like if I try and reach for a cigarette or reach for something, it's really he'd be unsure as to whether he could actually pick it up or not. But he said, I tried. There's no way. Am I right in saying, Lynn, would your father-in-law have sworn as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to swear, I'm really not, but I just know here as I hesitated. And I just feel with him that there's this sense of determination that he's not going to let anybody grind him down. But those weren't the words. But you understand the sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is really, and he's acknowledging it now, that this is what kept him going so long, was this really, this almost like a very much a wartime determination.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of really stalwart kind of determination to whatever happens, you carry on. You keep that kind of stiff upper lip and you carry on. And your father-in-law, yeah, he was like this, wasn't he? He was, this is him. And he's saying here that after his funeral, that people referred to him that way, that he was quite a stubborn, he could be quite a stubborn so-and-so.
That's right.
Yeah, because he was there at his funeral and where this was mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's of course he's still himself now in the spirit world. You wouldn't want to lose that kind of, if you like, individuality with him, would you? Because he's this kind of he could also be quite over the top with things as well.
Yeah.
You know, let me just see if he'll share any more about that, because yeah, he said because they he would, if he lost it, didn't he?
That's right.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, because it's like, and the air would have been blue, as they say, with him as well. But you know, on a different level completely, if somebody needed something or somebody was desperate, your father-in-law would try and do his best to help, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would.
Yeah. So yes, he might be this person that would go off on one, as he's just put it. Because sometimes he said, I sulked. Yeah. Is that right?
Spot on.
Yeah, he would have sulked. And it's like, and there would also, he's sorry because he didn't want people to have to clear up after him. You know, in that latter part of his life, he really didn't want people to have to clear up. And he wants to thank you, Lynn, as well, for that help and support you gave him. So is that right? You would have been involved in some kind of the practical care aspect of his life. Yes. Yeah. And he wants to, and he's sorry that he had to put people through that, but we know that it couldn't be helped, of course.
No.
But he comes forwards now from the spirit world and expresses that regret that he's saying that if it had to be anybody, he's glad it was you. Yeah, he really, it means a lot to him what you did for him, Lynn. Yeah, and he's visited you, he's saying, more than once, not just through mediums, Lynn, but you've sensed him at home as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
He likes to, he's quite cheeky with it too, because he's just said, I like to keep them on their toes. Yeah, because he gets blamed for things that happen in the house, and not just your house, but somebody else's as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
He's really cheeky. It's all with love, Lynn. You know, it's not anything else. It's totally with love, but it's him just not. And I know he would never be forgotten because of the person he is. But he said, I'm not going to be forgotten. I'm going to remind them.
No, he isn't.
No. And please know when I'm going to use the word I'm going to use now. It's meant in a very light-hearted way. It's meant because of his cheeky personality. So please know that I'm going to say this, because he's just said, somebody has said that I'm, if you like, in inverted commas, haunting them. Yeah, it's that kind, but it's, please know that he said it as a joke. You know, when we sometimes say, oh, I'm going to come back and haunt you, you know, and it's said in that way. Would that make sense, Lynn?
Yeah.
Thank you. And that's why I wanted to emphasize the way that I needed to say it, because it was light-hearted, and he's heard whoever said that. He's laughing about it, because he's your father-in-law is a that isn't a word I normally use, is he says he's a trooper. So I don't know if that word was ever used about him or it's something he would have said, but it's certainly not a word I normally use. But he brings so much gratitude, Lynn, to you for the care, the help and the support. And he's saying, you know, if you ever need help, don't be afraid to ask for it, because I wasn't the easiest. And he wants, you know, just to let you know, if ever at any point, for whatever reason, you need help, don't forget, you don't have to stand alone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thanks for speaking to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's see here. Now, I really have to say, Kevin, I really enjoyed that video in the prison. I've never heard that before and never seen that video before. I really, really enjoyed it. And I don't normally get a contact, a communicator before I work. I really don't. And I tell students not to do that either. But actually, as I was watching the guy who was playing with the guitar, I was actually aware from the spirit world of a young man who was coming forwards. And I feel he connects through family, but it's not close family to someone here in the room. And he would have had at some point connections with playing the guitar. I feel he would have passed quickly to the spirit world. And I get a sense that this would have been some kind of, it feels like a very quick passing. And I feel it would have been, I want to say a combination of, I feel that there would have been alcohol involved. I'm not sure about anything else, but I feel the accident that took place, he takes me to outside where I'm seeing traffic. So there would have been something to do with traffic as well going on there. Does this make sense to anybody so far? No, not yet. Okay, let's see where we're going. I feel he would have been, I don't normally go with age because it's so subjective, but maybe in his late 20s, early 30s when he passed to the spirit world. As I said, I don't feel him being close connection to whoever this is for, but he just kept showing me this guitar. So there must be some kind of connection going on here with the guitar. And I get a sense as well that he would have passed, as I said, as a result of a traffic accident or where traffic would have been involved. Does this make sense to anyone, that anybody would know of this person?
I ran away for a bit, but I come back. I can take the age and the car crash, but I can't pinpoint the guitar.
Okay, bear with me then. Was it just yourself? Anybody else, Kevin? Was it just Jodie? I can see.
Just Jodie.
Okay,
Joe as well. Joe Dauber as well.
Okay, Joe. Do you understand all of that, Joe?
Not the guitar, but I went with a motorbike. Not you said traffic, didn't you?
Okay, good. Okay, because by speaking to me, I get a feeling with the voice as to where he's taking me. You see, so thank you. Let me just see then. So I know neither of you understood the guitar. But that was quite significant here. And I do feel like I wasn't particularly seeing, Joe, a motorbike, but I just know there was traffic here. So would both of you understand that there would have been alcohol involved at some point?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jodie?
Yep.
Okay, that's fine, that's okay, because I know that's important. Then let me just go with this guitar, because I feel that's where, then that's how I'll know who I'm with. So the guitar was significant. So in your world, in your lives, both of you, has there been a discussion about guitar playing recently, or does somebody play the guitar around you?
My son and my daughter both have guitars.
That's it. Okay, thank you. Jodie, is that a no?
Yeah, no, not me.
Thank you. Thanks for speaking up though, Jodie. That is important. Okay, so thank you. So okay, Joe, so the guitar was to find you within the room, you see. So yeah, because I know that was important there for him to bring it forwards. And so I know, and I acknowledge what you said there about it being a motorbike, but I just feel here that there would have been also more than one person that okay, let me phrase that better. that he would have been with a group of people before this happened. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yeah, but he was on his own when he passed.
That's thank you for saying that, because that's where I was just going with that, but you beat me to it. But you could, hopefully you understood by how I said that, because the sense was that he was with the group beforehand, and then obviously, yes, he left and he went and the accident took place, because he's talking here about people blaming themselves. Now, we can't imagine in a situation like that, the thoughts that will go through people's minds. But I just feel with the group of people that he was with beforehand, that people did question themselves afterwards.
Okay, I wouldn't.
You wouldn't know that. Okay, that's all right then. But he's just bringing it from his perspective there too, Joe. He's described himself as a bright spark. So he's somebody that would have had an answer for most things, isn't he?
I have heard of that, yeah.
Yes, okay. So obviously I understand how you've just said that. So it sounds like you're limited on what you would know about him. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let me try and ask him for things you know of or about. Yeah, and we'll see again. It's always interesting, you see, when it's not somebody that we maybe had a direct relationship with ourselves, why they've come forwards, remembering, of course, they take the opportunity. Yeah. So as I am going with that and trying to ask him to bring things forward that you know of or about him. Okay, because he was spoken about recently, he said. Do you know if somebody mentioned him recently?
I was thinking about him.
Thinking
is fine. Past where he passed.
Thank you. So it's the thinking. Wonderful. Because words, thoughts are all heard by
aren't they?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Joe. So yeah, so that's why. So because you've thought about him, of course, he likes that, and he's coming on that remembrance, if you like, of that association, as you've just said. And so he says here that it was, and I don't know if you'd know of this, Joe. Would you know that it was a big turnout for his funeral?
Huge.
Yeah, because I feel as well that there would have been, I don't see it, I get he's just bringing me the energy of it or the shape of it, but there would have been flowers that would have been made into something. I don't know if it was his name or it was something but I just feel here that there were flowers that had not just a typical funeral flower or arrangement, but they were actually made into his name or yeah, and I know I acknowledge what you said before about the motorbike, but at his funeral there was also some kind of reference to a motorbike as well. Yeah, because I just know he brings this in, and so he knows about this. He knows, he was there, so that's why he brings it, to show that he's okay, he lives on. And so it was the music he's saying as well, because I don't know, I don't get what the music was, but he's saying here that some of it was a bit, I don't know if it was heavy metal or something that was quite lively kind of music that was played.
Alternative,
thank you, use the word alternative. Yeah, I wasn't kind of getting, it was just, it was a bit out there, in some way. So there's no such thing these days as traditional kind of music for funerals, of course, because it's so personal at that moment in time. But I just know with his, it was maybe some people that maybe didn't get it quite as well, maybe would have raised eyebrows a little bit about that, but he's not bothered. He's really not bothered, because he was really pleased with what it was and how he was remembered, because it was also that people, of course there was emotion, of course there was grieving, but people were also laughing too, because of some of the stories and how he was described too. As well. I don't know, do you know if he would have had a tattoo or tattoos on his arm too?
I'm not too sure.
Not too sure. Okay. I don't know if it's possible maybe at some point for you to check that out, Joe, but it just brings my attention to, I feel it's an upper arm here of the tattoo. He loves, Joe, your sense of humor. your sense of humor and his sense of humor, if you'd have known each other even better, you would have really got on, because you've both got that kind of really, again, out there kind of sense of humor, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was known for his sense of humor. And that's why that music was played, he's saying, because of his sense of humor. And he said, you're just the same. Your sense of humor, not everybody gets it. Not everybody gets it. But he's saying that even when you try to put on that brave face, and we're all very good at putting masks on, we present to the outside world, don't we? I don't mean in a bad way. Yeah. We get through life the best way we can. But he knows here that, you've asked for help from the spirit world. And so he's coming in on that energy of his character, his personality is what's giving you that boost at the moment that you need.
Thank you.
So it's not always the person we expect that comes forwards, but the one who can bring that aspect of character, that strength, that compassion, that understanding. And that's what he's bringing to you, Jo.
Thank you.
Because he's saying, don't give up, girl. Don't give up. You keep going. You show them, because you're stronger than the rest of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he, as well as obviously your other loved ones in the spirit world, are there supporting you and bringing that strength as you move forwards. So thank you for speaking up, Jo. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Right, this is really, I've got another gentleman coming forward. It's a gentleman this evening, isn't it, by the sounds of it? I feel the gentleman that I've got here feels more like grandfather as he comes forwards, but please bear with me with the relationship. I feel he would have been in care, in a care home, care environment for several years before he passed to the spirit world. But I also then get a sense at the end of his life, I don't know, he just brings the memory in here of him passing to the spirit world while he was out of bed. I really feel that he would have been in a chair or sitting, and then he said he took a turn, is how he's phrased it, and he then passed to the spirit world. Yeah, it just feels really, and yeah, because he said they found me collapsed, and then really that was it. So this would have been either stroke or some kind of aneurysm or something really that he was then in the spirit world, like literally straight away there. Now, to find the person I'm with in the Zoom room, there would have been talk around whoever this is for to do with Scotland or trips to Scotland or something to going on with Scotland. So who would understand this so far, please? Okay, nobody yet? Okay, we're having a think. I know, I find it fascinating on Zoom, actually. It takes people longer to think somehow on Zoom. I don't know if it's the fact they've then got to click a button. There we go, you see. And I've found that's fascinating the last 18 months, that there's always that bit of a delay. And I know when it first started happening with mediums, they're thinking, oh no, nobody can take it. That panic starts to set in.
We've
And
got
you're
Isabel.
still smiling.
Isabel's putting her hand up.
Lovely, thank you, Isabel. We've got used to that slight delay now and things. So, Isabel, can you understand everything that I've said so far?
The bit about the being in care, he was in care when he was a child.
Okay.
At one point,
okay.
But my brother was found sitting up. He died in a chair.
Okay, thank you. And if
I
recognise,
I'm in Scotland.
I've just to say, if I recognise the accent there, Isabel, of the Scottish connection. So bear with me. I won't automatically say yes. You see, that's it when somebody shares something, because I have to check, obviously. And you understood it to be grandfather, Isabel?
No, my brother.
Your brother, sorry, you said that, sorry. Let me just go with this and just see if it really has to feel right, you see, from the spirit world's perspective and me as the medium. But the significance, you see, of what we were saying was that he I would say really, I feel he would have passed in the chair, or it would have been literally just after he was in this chair, because it just brings this sense of being found. So would that make sense with your brother, Isabel?
Yes, we found sitting up.
He was. Yeah, this is it. It just feels like, because I'll be honest, I did hesitate within my mind about the care aspect, and then because my logical mind thought, well, okay, if he passed in the chair and he was in the care environment, how would that happen? But these things do happen, we know. But I just know here with the care side of things then, Isabel, would he have been in care for quite some time in his life? So I know you said he was in care earlier in his life.
3 times.
Just don't say just yes or no, because I'll just work with it, but thank you. Yeah, because I feel if this is your brother coming forwards, Isabel, that his passing really did surprise people, so that of course he was maybe not feeling quite well or quite right beforehand, but it did take everybody by surprise, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah,
because he rallied round, is what he's just said. So there must have been some kind of change within his health, or some kind of change going on there with him. But he kind of seemed to pick up.
Yes.
Yeah, because he said, I rallied round, is how he described it. And so it was like almost like you breathing, and the family around him breathing this sense of, if you relief for a moment in time,
yes,
that okay, he's picked up again. It's okay. He'll move forwards. But then, of course, he didn't. It
That's
passed.
right.
And he's saying here as well that there would have been 3 of you, he's saying, that would have gone to see him after he passed. Isabel, is that correct?
Yes,
yeah, because he said
sisters and brothers, I didn't go.
Okay, because he's saying that there were the 2 people that went together, and then somebody came
That's
afterwards.
Right.
Yes,
that's
because
right.
he knows this again, that they did that. And talking about working at the, would you know somebody, Isabel, that would have worked at either a graveyard or a cemetery as well?
He was a grave digger at one time.
Was he really? How
Yes.
Fascinating.
Yes, he was.
Because he was just taking me to that kind of environment there. So again, just more confirmation, as you know, Isabel, that I was just seeing I was seeing the grass, and and the graves kind of laid out here. And thank you for sharing that he was a grave digger. But this was a real sense of pride for him.
Yes.
Have that responsibility. So he didn't do that job and did it because he had to do it. Of course, yes, it was an income, but he had a real sense of pride, your brother, with doing that job.
Yes.
And he respected, in simple terms, he respected the dead. Yeah. So he within that environment as the gravedigger, he would also have his own conversations with the spirit world. Now, I don't know if you knew that or not,
No.
but this is what he's saying now, and I know you don't know this, there's no confirmation, but he's saying that I didn't fully understand what death means. He only saw the side of it to do with the grave digging and the cemetery or the graveyard. But now in the spirit world, he wants to understand more. And he's saying that you also want to understand more about life after death. I'm not talking about mediumship necessarily, Isabel, but
I'm a medium.
Yeah, but as I said, not just about mediumship, but understanding more about, the philosophy, progress in the spirit world, how it works in the spirit world. That's what he's talking about.
Okay.
So it's not the mediumship aspects. I know you said you're a medium, but this is more about life eternal, the other side of it, if you like. And so he, now from the spirit world, so I know you said that you're a medium, but he wants to understand more now too. And he wants to help you understand even more than you already do.
Okay.
Yeah. And that I know the gentleman before was cheeky, but your brother has this, and I don't see it, I feel it, this kind of, that wry smile, that kind of all-knowing kind of smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. because that's what he's impressing on me now. He's saying, don't forget, you do a good, this work isn't a job, we know, you do a good job. Yeah, and that okay. Just yes or no, Isabel, and I'll tell you why I'm asking. Have you ever officiated at a funeral?
Yes.
Yeah, this is it, because he's just said, your brother has just said, you should take more funerals, or, you know, do more funeral services. So I know you've said you already have, but he's encouraging you if it's right for you, of course.
It's something I've thought about.
Have you really?
Yes.
Like as a celebrant? Yeah. Well, he's encouraging you, because I thought, oh my goodness, this is a really interesting direction we're going in, but it's all part of the same, you see, that he's now encouraging you to follow, which you've already thought about, as you've said, follow that pathway. And so he's really supporting you with it, Isabel. Yeah, so thank you for speaking to me, and I thank your brother too. Okay.
Thank you very much. That was lovely, Lynn.
Thank you. Thanks, Isabel. Have we got time for one more, Kevin? Yeah, okay, I can see you nodding there. Lovely. So let's see. It's off the bridge. What does that mean? Okay. Okay, I'm aware of another gentleman coming forwards, actually, and sometimes I get a mixture. Sometimes I get the more females, sometimes more males, but I get a sense here that I'm aware of a gentleman coming forwards, and there would have been something to do with, I know it's quite sort of seemingly random, although it won't be, that he would have taken his own life, but he would have jumped off, I don't know if it's a bridge or a building, but he would have jumped off something. Now that's quite specific. So who would understand a man who would have taken his own life, but by jumping off something?
Me.
Oh, hello, Tracy. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so can I explore that with you and explore him with you?
I think it's only about 3 weeks ago.
Oh my goodness, is it really?
Yeah.
So yeah, and this shows us, doesn't it? You know, it's about the right time, the right place, the right harmony within what we create for them to come forward. So as he does come forwards, Tracy, the first impression I was given was something to do with a bridge, but as I worked with him a little bit more, I felt that there would have been, yes, that he would have jumped off something, but there would have also been a bridge nearby as well where this took place. Would you know of that at all?
I'm not 100% sure. I know he was found in the bathroom. He'd hung himself.
Oh, don't tell me. No, don't tell me anything.
Sorry.
Thank you. No, it's fine. It's fine.
But no, I think that could have been.
Yeah,
because there's a few bridges in the area.
So I just recognise the accent there as well.
Yeah.
Because I'll be perfectly honest, and just yes or no, would he then have been from your part of the world originally?
Yes.
Do you know, the interesting thing is, my son I'm from northwest England, Cheshire, and he's moved to your part of the world. So that accent, how interesting. You see, the spirit world are so clever. The synchronicity of it all, that my son's now living in that part of the world, and that, you know, there's often a connection, you know, the more we start to notice these lovely connections through the spirit world and the synchronicity of things, I think it's beautiful. So he's chosen to come forwards, Tracy, this evening. No such thing as coincidences within all of this, but you know, as he comes forwards, and I'm not talking now about the time before this happened, before he took his own life, but all through his life, he's saying that he seemed to be searching for something that he couldn't find. Yeah. Would you know that about him?
It seemed like that.
It just, and he recognizes that now within himself. I don't feel that he recognizes that particularly, or would have recognized it rather, when he was here, because he presented himself as being this kind of quite tough, exterior, but actually he is so sensitive.
So far, it's quite
Yeah.
excited then.
Sorry. Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, so Tracy, he presented himself in this certain way, but he wasn't ever willing to reach out and ask for help, was he?
No.
Because there were, and we're all complicated, of course we are, we're all very complex, but he could go from being really outgoing, really kind of enthusiastic, to completely the opposite, couldn't he?
Yeah.
He has this range of emotions where, and this got even more so that last 6 months of his life. Would you understand? He became less able to control his emotions.
Possibly. We hadn't
Okay.
been in touch. It was an uncle.
Okay. So I don't know if you could maybe check this out if it's
Yeah.
possible. I know it's not always, particularly if it's only recent as well. But he's a good laugh. You know, when he was in a good mood, he's outgoing, he was a real good laugh.
Yes.
He could talk as we say, the hind legs off a donkey. He could just talk for England. And
Yeah.
he's got this reputation of almost seeming like he didn't have a care in the world.
Yes.
Know that kind of, but almost like a butterfly, a symbolic butterfly. He would kind of just go from one thing to the next. I also feel this would have related to work as well. Would you understand? Did he move from job to job quite a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like this butterfly within his work. But you see, he's got this wonderful creative side as well, Tracy. That he never, but he never felt he really got a chance to explore that properly. Because it's not just the words, that he's creative with words, that he could speak to people about anything. But I also feel here, I don't know if at some point he would have drawn or painted or designed.
I think so.
Yeah. Because he didn't really fully explore that. But Tracy, in the spirit world, he is creating, I want to say, and there's no confirmation of this other than he was creative when he was here, but he's creating graffiti. he's just, you know, like with spray cans.
Yes.
He's just creating graffiti. So I don't know if that was something he did when he was here or not, but he's certainly doing it now in the spirit world because he can. And because he feels he wants to, and he wants to express himself in a way that he's not expecting comeback, is what he's saying. Because when he was here, he got a lot of comeback. People did get on his case, didn't they?
Yeah.
And so now in the spirit world, obviously in a responsible way, of course, he can do anything he wants to.
Yeah.
And this is what he's doing. And he's shouting from the rooftops that he is happy. And he said, I've never, ever experienced happiness like this before.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him now in the spirit world, he's finding, if you like, what he was always meant to be.
Yeah.
You know, and so his legacy, as he's saying, his legacy is to reach out for that help that he never reached out for.
Yeah.
And so he knows that his friends and his family and those close to him, obviously, I know you shared it's only 3 weeks, so goodness me, we can't imagine, can we? But he's saying already, one of them, the kid has mentioned about doing something in his name, doing some kind, whether it's a fundraiser or just something to remember him. So will you just bear in mind, that's the one. Very occasionally there's something that we just have to see where that happens afterwards, that he knows about it, because that thought's gone out already or it's been spoken about, you don't yet. But he's saying the kid, and I feel this would be, would there be a younger boy or younger male to him in the family?
Yes.
Do you have a brother by chance?
Yes.
This is where we are, you see. So well, I'll leave that thought with you, Tracy. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not something you necessarily can go and ask about yet,
Yeah.
but just see where that goes, because he's saying the kid's got a good idea. The kid's got a good idea, and and they didn't really they spelt his name wrong. Do you know where, if there's been a report, or maybe somebody's put on Facebook or on the news or in a paper, and they spelt his name wrong?
I don't know. It was quite complicated because they couldn't get in touch with us.
Mhm.
And he'd been dead 2 weeks before we found out. And they said they'd put reports on Facebook, but we
Okay.
couldn't find anything. But I'm wondering if they've maybe spelt his name wrong.
Well, that's an interesting one, Tracy.
Because he's
Yeah. So obviously we don't need to know what his name is, but if it's one of those names that could potentially be
Yeah.
spelled different ways, how fascinating.
Mhm.
You see, they're very clever in the spirit world. So this is maybe answering your thoughts, or you know, something that you've queried in your mind. So it might be worth trying, mightn't it? To
Yeah, I was
search
gonna
for
say,
the
I think
different
I'll have a look.
spelling of because this is what he's saying. They spelt my name wrong in
Mhm.
the report, or the where it was put out there too. So, and do you know, it's interesting because we work with, you know, the reason for them coming forwards, why, you know, the message isn't always just I love you. Of course, that's
Yeah.
important, but I feel for you, the part of this message that he brings, that he is well, that he's so happy to have this freedom now in the spirit world, but also to bring that message to you, that keep searching for it and you'll find it. Yeah. So thank you for speaking to me, Tracy.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody. Thank you for your support and your love.
Thank you very much, Lynn, for the lovely address and for the readings that you've given this evening. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Right, just our notifications, and don't forget, every Tuesday evening we have our online open reading circle where you can come along and get a reading for free from either our resident mediums or visiting mediums, or if you're a medium yourself or a developing medium, you can come along to practice and offer readings yourself. Doors open at 7:45 for an 8 p.m. start. All details of any groups that we have are on our Amadeitist group on Facebook. We also have our healing group session on Thursday evening. This is all online. Doors open 7:45 for an 8 p.m. start. Again, join our Facebook group for details. Our next service will be Saturday, 21st of August, same time, 7 p.m. And our guest medium is Sue Smith. So hope to see all of you, or at least some of you there. Right, I shall hand back to you, Lynn, for our closing prayer.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you for sharing for me as well. Again, please, everyone, if you just take a moment to enter into that silence. And if we, each one of us, say our own thank you within our minds to the spirit world. As we come together here one last time for this service, we give thanks. We give thanks for the words of reassurance, the words of upliftment, and the words of healing that have been brought forwards during this service. And Father God, as this service does draw to a close now, we ask that the light of the spirit world shines from our hearts, touching those that we meet in the next few hours and days to come, until we meet again. Amen.
Amen.
God be with you till we meet again. By his counsel's guide uphold you. With his sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet again. God be with you till we meet again. Neath his wings securely hide you. daily manna still provide you. God be with you till we meet again. Till we meet, till we meet, till we meet at Jesus' feet. Till we meet, till we meet. God be with you till we meet again.
God be with you till we meet again. When life's perils they confound you, put his arms unfailing round you. God be with you till we meet again.
Till we meet, till we meet, till we meet at Jesus' feet. Till we meet, till we meet. God be with you. God be with you. Oh, God be with you till we meet again.